Hello, everyone. Says I'm live. It's so good to see everyone again. And thank you so much for your prayers. That long heat for as long as it was just killed my immune system, but I'm back, and I'm really glad to see everyone that's here and everyone that's going to be coming in soon because today's live is going to be very, very interesting. It is now September, and September has been pattern like in its ways of showing us the last 2 or 3 decades its importance in the year. Israel, this is their new year coming up, and there are a few of them, they say, but Rosh Hashanah, this one coming up in September, is the big deal. All right. So, hello, Connie and Daryl and Robin. I'm so glad to see you. Belinda, God bless you all. Nancy and Adrian, Patricia, praise God. Oh, it's so awesome to see you guys. Okay. We're going to start by saying happy Labor Day weekend. And it is so funny because that actually kind of fits in with this whole thing. You'll see, but happy Labor Day weekend. Good time to be with friends and have some barbecue, right? Like, subscribe, comment, and share the videos. Thank you, Adrian. I saw you did that. Thank you so much. I wanted to let y'all know that I deleted my Rumble channel for now. I'll get an account back up, but they wanted extra permissions. They weren't uploading my videos, my recent content. So I just deleted it to kind of just avoid problems for now. But my other backup channel, Odysee, is still there. It's still a description box link, as well as links for Daily Excellence with Pastor Anthony and Off-Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian's links, as well as my PayPal address, and you can buy me a coffee if you want. There's a link for that too. So let's get to the good stuff. It's called 5784, The Key and the Door. Now, if you've been watching any of the videos from other people, or have even looked at what this year, like the numbers and the letters, means, door jumps out at you. Things like the king is in the field, that jumps out at you. And it's a little confusing at first. You're looking at what looks like a tent, a domain, someone speaking through that. When you look at the letters 8 and 4 together with the Jewish symbols for them, it looks like someone speaking through a tent door. Okay. So I had to ask God, I was like, I kind of see some things popping out, but nothing is really making sense. So time went by and it started to. Hello, AA Strumming. God bless you. Welcome. All right. Now, the door is there, but there's also a key up there right now. And it's at the same time, like that same week, all of that's going to be happening together, and you may not have realized it just yet, but you're seeing it. I know you are. Okay. Now, when you're having a vision that has a door or a window in it, it signifies a prophecy of the future. That's one. Now, this open door, it talks about, it's another thing for like new beginnings. It can be a new door or just a door finally being opened. Okay. And it's open to, it's somebody that's humble, godly, and anointed. All right. But I wanted to give y'all some synonyms for the word door also. Cusp, like to be on the cusp, a threshold. Or you could think of it as like a veil of a bride. When, you got, it looks like a tent, and the door, it looks like a veil to the person that's speaking to the tent. It can also be verge, edge, brink, tipping point, turning point, crossroads. All right. So when you look at 84, 57, 84, the last two numbers, it literally means he will open the door to the house of a family for a new way of life. And that's That's literally what it means. So you have to ask yourself, well, what family? And then you start hearing about and realizing, yes, there are Joseph, Jacob connections to these letters, these numbers, right? There's family. And these other videos, they're talking about Joseph a lot, a Joseph connection. And I started to see it. Okay, now, one of the things that I noticed, if I'm not mistaken, because like you look at the previous year and, well, the years, it doesn't look like they're going into a dwelling. It looks like they're going to be going out of the dwelling, starting a new path, a new way of life. All right. But it looks like they're going out of the tent, out of the covering, right? Things like Joseph and Jacob, yes, they were there. Now, when you think of Jacob, you think about when he got married, and he worked 7 years for Rachel. And when it was time to get married, he said all his vows, and when he took the veil up, it was her sister Leah instead of Rachel. So he had to work another 7 years for Rachel. So after that, whenever there was a wedding, before the wedding would begin, the groom would lift the veil to make sure that he's marrying the woman that he came to marry, right? But that's the Jacob connection. Now, Jacob had the 12 tribes of Judah, okay? And that's where the Joseph connection comes in. Don't confuse that with Joseph, Jesus' stepfather. I'm talking Joseph from the 12 tribes of Judah, the man with a coat of many colors that was sold by his brothers into slavery because of that vision of the sun, moon, and the stars. Remember that? Trust me, the connections come together. Just bear with me. Hi, Russell. It's great to see you. Okay. All right. Now, I want to go real quick into Bible verses about doors, just 3 of them. Okay, it's really quick, and I think they're really relevant. For real. I'm trying to go fast so I don't lose you guys, because it's really cool what I found. All right, Revelation 3, verse 7. And to the angel of the church of Philadelphia write, these things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David. And see, David, that's the grandfathers of Jacob and Joseph and Isaac, isn't it? That's their grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. All right, hath the key of David, he that openeth, and no man shutteth, and shutteth, and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I've set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Matthew 24. It's the first book in the New Testament for all the newbies. 33, chapter 24, verse 33 and 34. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. And then the third one is Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. Right now, so we can see in the letters the door, right? There's a door, and they're like, hey, Christina, where's the key? Well, it turns out that the Revelation 12 sign has been getting attention again. The same week of Rosh Hashanah, the start of the new year, the very same week, the Revelation 12 sign, even though it's a little bit different, something exciting is going on with that at the same time of the door. Now, they've always called the Revelation 12 woman a few things. First of all, the key to it all. She's always been the key. the woman of the apocalypse, which basically means the woman that is going to be revealed, and the bride of Christ. She was just always known, okay? She is the key. Revelation 12 is the key. And the key is near the door. And you wonder, what connection does Joseph have any more than what we were just talking about? Well, Joseph did have the vision of the sun, moon, and the stars. And the Revelation 12 lady has the moon beneath her feet. She's clothed with the sun, and she has a crown of 12 stars. Starting to get interesting yet? Just wondering. Just wondering if it's starting to catch your attention just yet. So we do have a key and a door. Now, when it's talking about 5784, it says we're at the cusp. The key is at the door. We're at a crossroads, a threshold of some kind. When you think of thresholds, you can think of it as a tipping point, but also a marriage threshold, okay? Because there is a wedding being planned and arranged and all this, right? Okay, so Revelation is a key. She's the woman of the apocalypse. She's the bride, all right? The woman that's revealed. And it has been almost 7 years since the Revelation 12 sign. It was September 23. And that's when like another Joseph connection comes in. It's like that 7 years of feast and famine kind of just, you know, right? And then at the time when we had the sign, there was the Great American Eclipse. Now we've got the close of the eclipse coming in April, but it's like the eclipse, Revelation 12 sign, April 2024 eclipse. Like there's a 7-year wrap up going on, and it's like these key elements keep coming back together. What's different about the sign this time is that last time the baby that was being born was signified by Jupiter, which Jupiter has always been a planet that has symbolized a king. We knew that the man-child had been born. The difference here is that there's an asteroid coming through called Child. And I need you to hear me when I talk about this next part, because it is very eye-opening if you listen. All right. If you've read Revelation 12, it mentions the rest of her children. Man-child means that that's a firstborn son. You know, like when dad dies, the firstborn son becomes man of the house, right? And then there's always the rest of the children. And in Hebrew, the word man-child and child are completely different words. All right. So we knew in 2017, the man-child was being symbolized as being born. But this one talks about just the child. And even in Revelation 12, you can see something strange happens in the way that it's written about when it's talking about the births, okay? Revelation 12, verse 5, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And then it has a semicolon, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. What's that semicolon doing there? And they went from using man-child to child, which in the English language might not have been a big deal, but the truth is it is. And when you look at how the signs in the skies have happened over the last 7 years, the one in 2017 and the one that's coming this month, it was the man-child first and then a child, okay? Meaning that with all this beginning and end of the 7 years, it could have very well been the last of her children that was born, okay? Because it shows in Revelation 12, she had more children. Nobody knows what to make of that. I don't have to make anything of that. As a mom, I understand the concept, though, okay? So we can at least get that far, right? But that is still the completion of the two signs. Revelation 5, that's the completion of Revelation 12:5. She brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and to his throne, which is amazing. Because that's another reason I was like, oh, okay, happy Labor Day weekend, because, when it comes to Revelation 12, we are not just talking about a bride, a veiled bride. We also talk about the fact that she's in labor and that the child is veiled also until it's born. So at the same time we're talking about the bride, we've always been simultaneously talking about birth pangs, because the closer the contractions, the pain gets, the closer we get to the revealing. The revealing of the mystery, the unveiling of the bride, right? All right. So we don't know. The chapter 12 does not tell us how many children she had. But when in English you say the rest of her children, that implies that she had at least two more to have the rest, or else it would have said the other one, right? Even 5784, like you add 55 and 7 together, it's 12. 8 and 4, it's 12. You add all the numbers up, it's 24, which is divisible by 12. And I'm not a numbers person like that. It just kind of caught my eye. All right. I also wanted to bring to your attention in just a second a Bible chapter that talks about the last days that fits in just perfect. I mean, it's like 5784 and Micah chapter 4, which was really weird, but it is. Let me check the comment section super fast. Ready? Hello, Mr. Woods. Welcome. All right. Now, I got to, okay, Micah. Let's see. Yes, that's in the Old Testament. It's like the last half of the Old Testament side. But Micah 4, it's something that the church doesn't talk about a whole lot. And it's unfortunate because they talked about the Antichrist so much that people were led to believe that we just go straight into the Antichrist. But the Bible tells us a lot about the last days. We just don't know what to make of it. But let me read this to you. Okay. Micah chapter 4. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow into it. And many nations shall come and say, come, and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and to the house of the God of Jacob. This is supposed to happen in the latter days. And Jacob is mentioned, the house of Jacob. Remember, Abraham, then Isaac, Jacob, then the 12 tribes. Of the 12 tribes, Joseph. Jesus came from the brother Judah, the namesake of the tribe. We're talking about Joseph a lot, though, aren't we? But here it says the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths, for the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. And the word Zion can it can mean either the land of Israel or the people, depending on the context, okay? And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off. Remember, this is the last days prophecy. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So something's going to happen, that they're going to stop fighting. But they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree generation much. And none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord of hosts has spoken it. For all people will walk, everyone in the name of his God, and we will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. In that day, saith the Lord, will I assemble her that halteth, and I will gather her that is driven out, and her that I have afflicted. And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast off far off a strong nation. And the Lord shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth, even forever. And thou, O tower of the flock, the stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee it shall come, even the first dominion. What does that mean, first dominion? The first ruler. This means that Israel's going to go from presidents or prime ministers or whatever they do to kings and queens again at some point. I told you, lots going to change. Israel, it says right there, it shall come, the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now, listen to this. Tell me if it's not for our generation, for our very time in this very month, this next one. Now, why dost thou cry out aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thy counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. As a woman in travail. Latter days mention woman in travail. Israel, the woman has the crown of 12 stars on her head, so we know she represents the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field. This year in the prophecy, it said, what doors? And the king is in the field. And this says right here, thou shalt be delivered. Yeah, it says, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There shalt thou be delivered. There the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against thee that say, let her be defiled, and let our eye look upon Zion. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thine horn iron, and I will make thy hoofs brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people, and I will consecrate their gain unto the Lord, and their substance unto the whole Lord of the whole earth. That prophecy is for the last days. It has a mention of the woman in travail in it, and the house of Jacob. Does anybody see any connections here? And if that isn't enough, guess what next year's number means? I'll tell you exactly. Okay, 5785 is to reveal. So we're at the threshold now. We're at the cusp now. But next year there's a reveal, an apocalypse, something that is revealed by a messenger of God, something that is revealed by God, by a seer, messenger, / angel. Big deal. The apocalypse. The bride's going to be unveiled. Well, my goodness, it looks like we're at the door. So if we're at the door of the unveiling, then that means that the birth pangs are going to get harder. And this constellation doesn't just have the child coming through it with an asteroid. It has Mars nearby. Mars is always a symbol of war. And war would certainly give us a lot more birth pains. So what I think is coming in the future, in our year ahead, and it's starting out that way, is a lot of hardship, but at the same time, a lot of supernatural, miraculous stuff going on. God is with us. Patricia, what is this? It says, no, I'm not seeing the message. What is this pointing to? I think it's pointing to the upcoming marriage and the birth pangs. I guess maybe a lot of you don't know about the apocalypse. It happens in the last days. The woman of the apocalypse is a bride that needs to be revealed. It's a symbol for the apocalypse, that God had something that he wanted to be shut up into the last days, like he said in Daniel, right? And that we have a year coming up that is pointing to the wedding, the revealing, the apocalypse, to the birth pangs getting harder right before the reveal. So this year, that's what I'm saying, this year, we may not know the mystery yet exactly. But we see something in the works. Something going on with Israel that is beyond what we've been being taught in church, because it's always about the Antichrist. It's always about the Antichrist. But you try to tell somebody, hey, look at Micah 4. It's like you want to look at it like it doesn't belong there because nobody ever even talks about it. And it starts off that chapter. But in the last days, they're talking about the house of Jacob. And that's also important because I got to say this right. Okay. When you look at the book, the Bible, and you see it starts with Adam and Eve, everybody has been taught so wrong. Not everybody comes from Adam and Eve. That's why there are Jews and Gentiles. Salvation, grafts us into a vine, but that's a spiritual thing. But genetically, there are Jews and there are Gentiles from the start. And there may have been Jews, but there was one holy bloodline among them the whole time. And Adam and Eve were the start of it. Out of them came Noah and Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? It's always been the holy bloodline in there. And then you hear of the prophecies of the Sangreal, holy blood, right? The bride of Christ. You've heard those rumors, right? You hear them from the Knights Templars legends, but there's a lot of truth in that. They couldn't figure out if it was an actual cup or if they were talking about the holy bloodline. You see what I mean? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 12 tribes, any of Joseph's descendants, Judah's, they're the holy bloodline. Now, Jesus is getting married. The bride, Revelation 12, she's got the signs of Joseph around her, as though she's descended from that line. Now, I may be wrong about that, but one thing is for sure. This year is going to be shock and awe, no doubt about it. We're going to be shocked at the hardships, and we're going to be shocked at the amazing things God is doing, because I think it's really just right there. I mean, this year should be something else. I can't wait to see how it goes, but we're getting ready to see some things. Like, really, this year, this should be quite the ride. I hope. Yes, I do. I know about Mike from Council of Time, Mike from around the world. See? And okay, so now why I say this, okay, it's important that you know your history. All right. I mentioned Knights Templar. A lot of them were burned at the stake, right? Freemasons came in, and a lot of the information that they had, that the Knights had, they took it, but only certain bits got out. So you had to kind of imagine what those bits meant. You see what I'm saying? So they said they found something. The Knights found something under the Temple of Solomon. What was it? Scrolls. One of those scrolls, at least one of them, was, and this is history, this is already a historical fact, was about a woman. Now, they played it off like it was they were doing some kind of Mary worship. That was all a lie. They said that the information would destroy the church. Now, what that actually meant was it wouldn't destroy the body of Christ. The Catholic Church was in charge in these medieval times. Kings were blessed by the Catholic Church. It was a big deal. And the Catholic Pope at the time had every bit to do with the king that had all these knights burned at the stake as martyrs on Friday the 13th back in 1307 through 1314. It happened over a time, but it started like with Friday the 13th. I think it started there. But what they had found was debated, but it was also known that certain families passed that secret down very quietly through the generations. Specifically, one of the main families, was the Sinclairs. St. Clair's. Starting to sound familiar to anybody yet? Well, the St. Clair's, when the Knights of Templar were being martyred and burned and imprisoned and tortured, ran off to Scotland, where at the time my family we were known as the Earls of Athol, or the Earls of Atholia. We were descended from King Duncan. All right. At the moment that we married into the Sinclair family, we became Robertsons. Sir Alexander Robertson married Elizabeth Stewart. These are my grandparents. And ever since, there has been a secret passed down through every single generation. Not every one of us get it. Not every one of us do. But I was too young to understand the pieces I was getting until I got a lot older. And I'm not going to tell you everything, but I've told you a lot already. And I will tell you, it was a scroll. And it was about a prophecy. It was about that Revelation 12 woman. The Catholic Church hid that all that time, and they still hold the secret. But see, here's the thing. It's a prophecy. And it's going to come out one way or the other. They've been hiding a secret from y'all for a very, very, very long time that has connected every single bit to this Revelation 12 prophecy. See, I noticed, yes, the Stewarts are relatives, close relatives of the Robertsons, as well as Reed and Reeves. Like, that's why I think Keanu Reeves looks so much, and Christopher Reeve. Both those, they look so much like the men and women in my family. The Robertsons, it's amazing. Tell you the secret. You wouldn't believe me. Nobody will believe me on this yet. But it wouldn't destroy the church. It would destroy the Catholic Church. That's true. That's absolutely true. It has. Oh, I want to tell y'all so bad. I will tell you, the Holy Bloodline, it's not dead. The Holy Bloodline is important every single bit in the last days and in this war. And they're always around when God's working great miracles and wonders. I'll tell you that right now. Jesus did not have children. That was another rumor. See, because Jesus is coming for his bride. He's not going to sleep with her or any other woman. That was a terrible rumor that they put around about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. That never happened. Jesus never had children. His bride, it shows in chapter 12 that she had children. But that looks like it was part of her destiny. Whatever that is about the children, she did. But Jesus, no. I know for a fact he never did. He's coming back for his bride. He died without ever knowing a woman, having children. He's a one-time get married kind of guy. He's about to get married, coming real soon. So no, Jesus never had any children. What I'm trying to show you, Jesus came from the brother Judah. The woman has the signs of being descended from Joseph, Judah's brother. Just saying. Okay, if you look, okay, it was the secret that they were keeping all of this time is what was related to this. The woman, the bride. That's the secret we've been keeping, is what all of this really meant. It's the truth. The Sinclairs aren't related to Jesus. They're the ones that kept the secret from everyone. If they had given what they knew, then you would already know what Revelation 12 means. But see, it was something that God wanted hidden. And it's not something I can just talk a whole lot about, because God's going to reveal that in his own time and in his own way. But I'm just letting you know, the secret ain't going to, secrets, that's what an apocalypse is for. That's what a great revealing is for. Israel is the timepiece. The holy bloodline, Revelation 12, it's all in there. Or the wedding. And I may not understand a whole lot, but I know that we're at the threshold. I know we're at a crossroads. We're at the door. The key is up in the heavens, flashing around as the Revelation 12 sign. That's what the key is. Revelation 12, she's always been known as the key. At the same time, we're flipping into the year of the door. The same week, Rosh Hashanah, the key, the door, the threshold, the woman's up there, the wedding, the birth pangs, it all fits to me. This year, it's going to be hard and equally miraculous. I can't tell you much beyond that. I hope I made some kind of sense. SB, I have a different opinion. I believe we're at the door, but like if you look at the year 5785, it says to reveal. So it's like we're at the door now, but we'd be through it and revealed next year. If you take yourself out of the picture of Revelation 12, which a lot of churches inserted themselves into, and just read it for what it is, just to read it for what it is, you'll see that Joseph connection to her. She has the crown of 12 stars, which represents the 12 tribes. But which brother? Is it all of them? No. It's Joseph, because she's got the moon beneath her feet. She's clothed with the sun, and 12 stars, just like Joseph's dream. They're pointing out Joseph's line as the bride. And you're seeing these connections. You just put it together and it's like, wow, something big's on the way. Massey, Hellfire Club, lots of secrets. See? Yes. The Scots are great at keeping secrets. I'm personally not. The fact that, when I was told as a kid, it wasn't like I was sat down and it was story time. It was given to me in bits and pieces. And I didn't understand any of it until I got much, much older and started looking into these bits and pieces. And the information I had been given was the answers to all the questions that everybody else had about the same subject. And I was like, oh no, I understood what it was. Getting ready for a wedding. We're getting ready for the birth. We're getting ready for the apocalypse. Not this year, I'm thinking, but next year. But a lot's going to happen this year. When the apocalypse comes, I just want to at least tell you, hey, we don't have to put it all together. I just want to open your mind up for a minute and say, hey, maybe Revelation 12 wasn't about the church, because it has Israel all over it. Maybe the wedding guests are the church. Okay. And maybe it wasn't about rapture, because if Jesus comes for his bride, then why'd he take off with the baby? The baby's not the bride. See what I'm saying? There's something not right with your theories. So just open up your mind and pay attention. Pay attention. because over the next year or so, it's all going to become clear. You're going to hear Joseph a lot more. You're going to keep hearing it until it finally clicks. We're in a spiritual war, SB. It's hitting all of us hard. Well, you got to remember that the Jews were scattered to the four corners of the earth, and the only Jews that made it back were the ones that knew they were Jews. But a lot of them, like their grandmothers, hid the fact that they were Jews. They married men in other countries to hide their family names so that nobody would know they were Jews. So there was people that, yes, are from the 10 tribes or Hebrews that weren't from that holy bloodline, but they were all scattered. So yes, they could be scattered anywhere. Africa, America, Canada, Peru. They could be literally anywhere. Except there is a mention of eagle's wings in Revelation 12. It can't be. I mean, again, I don't like to argue about these things because there's just no sense. You've been told the bride is you. The bride in Revelation 12 is going to affect everybody in the whole wide world. It comes out of Israel. I don't talk about it, but a whole lot. But it's an Israel thing that affects the Christians. It affects everybody. But it's not us. All right. And that's, again, we'll argue about it at some later date, or not. I don't like to argue, to be honest with you. But I'm letting you know the signs, they're all culminating. Out of God, I feel like I did such a horrible job of getting this across. Ephraim and Manasseh. Yeah, you'll see latter-day prophecies in the Bible talking about Ephraim and Manasseh and woman in travail coming up too. Just look those things up. Look it up. And you'll start seeing there's a whole lot going on in the last days. There's a whole lot more than you realize. The story's in there. It's in those little places you don't understand, but those are all puzzle pieces. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I love you guys, and I hope I made some kind of sense, and I will talk to you soon. This is a crazy month. Bye, y'all.